three. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to me, Tina. How's everyone's doing? Well, welcome to my channel. If this is your first time, but if it's not your first time, welcome back. And guys, do not forget to subscribe, click like, and share any of my videos if you feel resonate with, just love it if you can spread out the words and share my channel. And also, especially this one with Laurie Johnson, my beloved teacher. She has taught me tarot before, and I'm telling you, she's great. And she's actually teaching classes right now via Zoom. And if any one of you is interested in taking tarot class from a great teacher, Laurie would be the one to go to. Please connect with her. Not only she is a teacher, she's also a tarot counselor to any personal issue and business. She's also an author of the book Into Aquarian Age, bringing your consciousness and awareness in Aquarius energy. And today she's going to be talking about that. I think, you talk about Pluto in Aquarius going on next year, but you also talk about energies that's going on in October this year as well. So let's hear it from you, Laurie. Thank you. Welcome.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's lovely to be here. Thank you for having me. What we're going through this year is like a big finale before we start new energy next year, because on March 23rd, 2023, Pluto moves into Aquarius, and it's a 20-year journey that changes everything. It's what we've been waiting for to move us further into the Aquarian age. But that means to where we are now, because we had the big lesson that started with COVID. I mean, COVID wasn't what started it. It was an energy shift underneath, and then COVID became the tip of the iceberg of physically how we could relate to it on the lessons that we needed to learn. But underneath everything, there was just so much more that was going on that we're still experiencing, because it's like this tsunami of energetic shift that's been going on. And what we've been doing this year, because we were learning certain lessons in 2020, certain other lessons in 2021. Now in 2022, it's kind of like get your karma straight, as in all the karma that you've been working on and you've finished, but you're continuing to do things by rote and that no longer serves you. So we've had sections of this year about clean that stuff up. And a lot of it has had to do with Piscean age awareness, which is the 2000 years of the male lessons, the male dominant lessons that we've had that ended in 2012. So all of this is still cleaning things up from all of that. And this year is do your personal karma, and then now do your humanity karma, which is getting rid of the leftover Piscean age influences. For men, that has to do with them having to be more important, which is a burden, but it's also a blessing. If they like being important without doing anything, like I'm a stupid little boy, but I'm like in charge of a corporation because I just kind of got there because I did all the right things and I met all the right people. And you don't want to give that up. But it's also a relief for some men to not have to be in that role of I'm in charge of everything, because if they're not good at being in charge of everything, it's kind of like an extra burden for them to have to do that. So there's a lot more fear than there is relief going on right now, because this is a big change that men who have been in control for 2000 years don't have control anymore. And they're very worried about that. They might not consciously be aware of this is what's going on, but they can feel it. It's kind of like, I feel that there is a big wave of a tsunami coming in, and I can feel it. I can't see it, but I can feel it. And so it makes everything uneasy and uncomfortable. So this is what men are going through. Women are going through looking at basically one thing. For 2000 years, most women, not everybody, but most women, every time they've reincarnated, when they've taken care of a man, they will also take responsibility for things that are not theirs to make the relationship or the family or whatever the situation is easier. So with doing that regularly, what we've got into is I haven't done enough, or I missed something, or I should do something more. And that's the thing that women are facing, because it's so ingrained in us that we don't think about it. And I go through that too. It's kind of like, oh, when I was teaching tarot, I was like, oh, I didn't say everything. I gave them 4,000 things for one card. I didn't give them 4,001. So what I'm focusing on is the one, because I've been trained, you got to do more. And this is the thing that's coming up for a lot of women, to let that go, to bring that into consciousness and say, that's not who I am. I've done everything. I'm smart. I'm doing everything. I'm taking care of the job, the kids, the husband. I'm making more money. I'm making sure my parents are okay and his parents are okay. What else can I do? You can relax. Well, no, we don't do that. So this is what the lesson is for this year, the overall lesson. So what we're doing coming into October, going through the end of the year and basically going through the end of January, because in some ways the new year doesn't start. The new year starts according to the Gregorian calendar, created by a white man in power who was a pope. So it's religious related on the calendar that we're dealing right now, which doesn't have anything to do with the rhythms of the planet. So the new year technically starts on the Chinese New Year, and I don't remember exactly when it is, but end of October, end of January, going into the beginning of February next year. But this is more on planetary activity that's going on. It's more about 3 main events that are going on in October that are getting our attention. And then there are all these other little events that are going on in October for the big finale of the year, which takes 3 months to do, which is the end of October, where Mars goes into retrograde. So right now, the first thing that we're dealing with, and all of this stuff is helping us dump the old. And we actually have an event on October 4th, which is exactly about that. But it's about dumping what doesn't work for you on an individual basis and for humanity. So that's our focus right now. And we don't have to be consciously aware of it. It's still happening. If you are consciously aware of it, at least you will stop blaming yourself if you don't get everything, or blaming yourself because you've got fear. Because the worst thing that can happen when we experience something is to then judge ourselves on how we're dealing with it. Because that adds a layer and layer and layer of difficulty that does not need to be there if we just know we're doing the best we can. Most people, we're not taught to know that we're doing the best we can. It's kind of like you always could do more, because that's part of the bigger, harder, stronger mentality, bigger, harder, stronger,
Right.
faster mentality of the Piscean age. Okay, so all of this stuff, we did our personal karma. For those who didn't do their personal karma, now they've got their personal karma and world karma to deal with, and Piscean age karma to deal with. And all that stuff's coming up. So if you've already done your due diligence and you've already done everything that you needed to do and face everything you needed to do within self, then this is basically like sit back and watch higher energy take over and teach lessons that you were teaching before, as in a couple, the guy's really holding on to Piscean age, and the woman who loves him is like, okay, we're going to move you forward. We're going to move you forward. We're going to move you forward. I've done everything I can to get you to pay attention to me, not just to me, like for me personally, but this is how you grow up. And if he doesn't do it, she's going to then sit back and go, I can't do any more. I'm going to let your guys, angels and ancestors and the planet and the energy of this change take over, because like if angels are teaching you, it's better than if I'm teaching you as a human being. Okay, so this is where we are right now, which means that she's going to sit back and watch and see what's going on. And he's going to have shit hit the fan, because it's about his personal stuff that he refused to take on. It's about dealing with that male energy, that patriarchal Piscean age stuff. And then it's about the shift of lifting into a new vibration, a new energy of self. And if he can't handle one thing, he's going to have this stuff piled on him. It is not going to be easy for him. That's what I'm saying. At this point, men are having a harder time because their lessons are bigger, because they refuse to learn them for like a couple of 100 years. We've had this lesson on our plate for 200 years recently. And every time you're reincarnated within that time, and men have had the opportunity, but they're like the kid who's going to study for a test the night before when they've known 3 months ago the test was coming. So it's like, now I have to, but then there are a lot of people going, no, I don't want to. And these are the things that are clogging it up for everybody, and also making it difficult for people who have done their due diligence and they're moving forward and they're feeling really good about themselves. But then they encounter this negativity. It's like, well, if I'm feeling bad, I'm going to make everybody else feel bad. Okay, so take it down to that, because this is basically clearing the slate, so we can all be ready that when March 23rd comes in, when Pluto moves into Aquarius and brings us this new energy, we will be ready to step into that and move forward, as opposed to step into that and fight it because I'm not in charge of it. Okay, so Mercury has been retrograde since the beginning of September-ish, and it is going to go direct on the 2nd or 3rd, depending on where you are in the country. So that's this weekend going into next week.
Right.
Communication will be back. A lot of worry, because with it happening in this time, it brings a lot of worry. And I've had people, the computer isn't working and I can't travel well, and my boss is talking to me and I have no idea what he's saying. Brain fog is a big one with this time. It isn't always with a Mercury retrograde, but brain fog is a really big thing right now. And then people are judging themselves and they're judging whatever, it gets to be messy. So first release that we have that comes in October is going to be because Mercury is going to go direct. And then we walk right into October 4th, which is the end of a Saturn versus Uranus connection. It's a square That's happened twice, at least I think twice before. When they get, close to each other, they kind of get close and then they get far away, and they get close and far away before they move apart. So this is the third of these where they get really close to each other. And that means Saturn, which is the old way, the stuck way in many ways, but the old way, versus Uranus is like trying to break down barriers and bring everything new in. We get the epitome of that by what's going on in Iran. Of the war is like, this is the old way of, I've got to control you and you have to wear your hair a certain way, and if you don't, I'm going to kill you. That male patriarch thing, and all the women are going, no, I'm going to cut my hair, I'm going to burn my hijab, I'm going to fuck everything. So that's an example, but we're coming up to that at a time when we're preparing for an election in the United States, and we've got our own, birth of the United States again. So expect that next week is going to be pretty volatile. It's not going to last long term. If it hasn't already started, like in Iran, it's not going to last long term. It's not going to start and then go through the end of the year. But with this energy, I wouldn't put anything past it. Okay. And then the third of the big three for October is when Mars comes into retrograde on October 30th and is there until like January 12th. But we also have the first Mercury retrograde of the year, which actually technically starts at the end of December. But every time there's a Mercury retrograde that goes with a Mars retrograde or a Venus retrograde, it elongates that energy. So basically go from October 30th through the end of January. It's going to be one male lesson after another. Wow. Not the female lesson. This is the one male lesson after another, which is the sledgehammer coming in the head every day. Did you get it? Bam. Did you get it today? Bam. Wow. And literally, I've been really mean about this because I'm like way tired of this male energy. And I've said this before. It's kind of like, I'm just going to get the popcorn on October 30th and I'm going to sit back and I'm going to watch the show. Because it's going to be brutal, but it's like, if nothing else gets through to these people, maybe the sledgehammer will.
Put extra butter.
I know, it's like Orville Redenbacher movie butter.
Right.
Yeah, so anyway, that's the beginning of it. But October, that's not done, because we've got these big events that are going on that they don't necessarily seem big because we've encountered them before, but because we're in this heightened energy, because it isn't just the planetary things. It isn't just the karmic work. It is, we are still being lifted into higher vibe and higher vibe and higher vibe to prepare us for next year, which is like, let's go. It's a huge thing coming in next year. So we're being prepared for it by being lifted to be on the same level of it. So when it starts, we're ready to rock and roll. Okay, not everybody on the planet is going to be there, but those who are fine with who they are, except like, oh, self-judgment, but fine with who they are predominantly, they're going to be having a really easier time of it. They can have an easier time of it now if they don't take responsibility for people who are not their responsibility.
Wow.
Okay, so okay, because everything, we're responsible for everything, but then we're not. It's that, Buddhist cone, everything is important, nothing is important. We're responsible because we're here on the planet, we're part of humanity. So we're responsible in some way or another for what's going on in Iran. And I don't mean the United States because we invaded and we were pigs or blah, blah, blah. It's not that. It's just as a human being, as part of humanity, we are responsible for that. But everything right now is being really self-focused on purpose so that we can clear our own energy and be the most balanced we possibly can, so that when this new energy comes in March, that again, we're ready to rock and roll with it. And it's not like, ooh, let me clean up my house first. This is the cleaning of the house right now. Okay. So we also have events in that 2 other planets are going direct. Pluto on the 10th, I think it is. Let me make sure I get that right. Yeah. Pluto on the 10th, which kind of, it frees things economically and financially throughout the world. So when we're expecting a recession, not so sure about that. There are a lot of things that are going to change on higher levels and on things we can understand, it's like we understand that there's a stock market and does this. It's like, it doesn't really matter what everything is done in the past. Now there's a different energy. So Pluto going direct, it's not something that we will feel viscerally like we do with the Mars, because Mars is an inner planet. So it's really close to us, and Mars and Venus really affect us the most, and Mercury just because it's obnoxious. But when Pluto goes direct, because it is so far out and its orbit is so slow compared to ours, that it's more like we just feel relief. It'll just feel like a weight's been taken off and we didn't realize the weight was there. Same thing happens with Saturn. Saturn goes direct on the 23rd. So this is something that it's kind of like when Saturn is retrograde, it's like, look at everything that you're doing, all the projects that you want. Did you get everything in a row? Did you do your due diligence? Are you ready for this? And it won't let you move forward until you like double check, triple check, everything like that. And now when Saturn goes direct, it's like, oh, things that I wanted to do for the last 9 months, I couldn't do. Now I'm going to be able to do them. So there's moving forward energy. But if you're in that mentality that I've got to be in charge of all this stuff, having that moving forward energy is not going to really help you at all.
Right.
So it's a matter of how you've done your own work, on how you're looking at yourself and how you're looking at yourself as part of humanity. And that's the thing. Society changes all the time. We're used to being in a society it seems like it's kind of stuck, but in the last 20 years, how much has changed from when I was in school, in high school, to where we are now. The awareness factor just in the last couple of years about gender and about color and about religion, that stuff has been brought up and shoved in our faces. So we can't pretend that it's not there anymore. We can't pretend that, oh, we always put everybody of color down if we're white. It's kind of like we can't pretend that that's not happening anymore, because even if it's like, okay, we're going to burn the books and we're not going to teach, race theory or any of that stuff, it doesn't mean that we don't know that it's there. It's like brought up so that we can deal with it. And in the last 20 years, so much has changed that it's taken hundreds of years to get to the point. So 20 years, it can all just happen at the same time.
Yeah.
We're living it every day. So it doesn't feel like it's fast. But when we look back on it, it's happening really fast. But the point is, society is changing. What we are getting into with this new vibrational shift is a way of rebuilding society. That's going to be part of the Pluto in Aquarius next year, of rebuilding society, not in the old way, but in the new way. And you get that new hit through intuition more than you're going to get it through fact right now. So the point is, when you get a new idea about what you want to do, about how you're going to fit into society or how you want to then influence society, it's like, don't fall back into the way it used to be because it's comfortable, because that's what you know. Trust that your intuition is taking you into a new version, and that society is being rewritten right now.
Wow.
And next year, it's going to be rewritten in an accelerated way. For 20 years, it's going to be fast, 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 fast. We also have a full moon that's coming. I think it's on the 9th, October 9th, the full moon. And that is, we've got 2 big release days in October. The full moon is going to be the first release, and as full moons always are. So that means people are going to be crazy leading up to it. I mean, crazy leading up to it, because we're going to be coming off of the craziness of Saturn and Uranus, square Uranus on the 4th, and all the other things that are going on in Pluto and relief on the 10th. But this is going to come up, and it's going to be huge release, which means people are going to feel literally like 2 tons have been lifted off their shoulders. They won't necessarily know why, but they'll feel release. But if you're not really balanced, it can throw you off balance and you can start behaving crazy. Okay, so the full moon is going to be great, but it depends on, again, where you are within yourself. If you're together, if you're balanced within self, this is going to be like, thank God. Everybody else is going, oh my God, I'm crazy. Okay. Right. Then we get into what is the last eclipse season of this year, which is, I think it's on the 23rd. I made notes here so I get the dates right. We got a new moon with a partial solar eclipse on October 23rd, which is my birthday. And FYI, it is also what Jewish scholars consider the birthday of the Earth. I know. So it's Earth's birthday and my birthday and Johnny Carson's birthday. But anyway, that's where we are. Right. I know. It's a great date. So on October 23rd, we have the first eclipse, which is a partial solar eclipse with the new moon. So that's a new beginning of things. After we get the release on the 9th, new beginnings of things, just when everybody is like, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. If you see the world coming to an end, that's where you're going to be. If you understand that this is a new lift for us, then that's where you're going to be too. So this is a very huge discrepancy between people, how people are going to react to what's going on. And then in October, we don't get the follow-up to that, but the next full moon happens on November 8th. And that is a full lunar eclipse. So wow. This is something that is all about, as Gal Sassoon writes in his books about what's going on in 2022, it's all about the sacrifice. This is about letting go of things. And that's what all of this energy is for. Letting go, letting go, letting go all year long on a personal level and on a big level. So now we're in that big level. And then we get to the Mars retrograde coming in on the 30th. And then we get to the second big release, which is Samhain or Halloween or All Hallows Eve or Day of the Dead. So that is a time when, yes, the veil is thin and you can communicate with those on the other side easier. It's easier for them to be in touch with you, but it's also an incredibly magical time. The magic that we feel then is becoming more and more palpable to us in this world. That's where we're headed, to be able to feel that on a more regular basis, to have that be our companions. So when that comes in, it lifts us up and kind of releases things that we don't need anymore. Because if you're lifted up, things that are holding on to you, that hold you back, kind of have to fall away. So this is like, all right, this is good. This is crazy. This is good. This is really, really good. This is, oh my God, this is terrible. And then there's really, really good. It depends again on where you're coming from. If you're balanced, this is going to be a fantastic month. If you're not balanced, it's going to beat the crap out of you before we even get into the Mars retrograde. And then there's the rest of the year, the Mars retrograde and the sledgehammer to the head through the end of January, blah, 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 blah. So a couple things with that too. And I'm sorry, I'm talking really fast. Did you want to throw anything in here?
No, not at all. It's amazing because so much information, and that's why you're trying to like spit out and share with all the audience here. But everybody follow you. I follow you. And it's just amazing because it's exciting, because what you just said, Laurie, it's like next year, it's like a world kind of splitting in two in a way. It's a great energies coming up. So if we're balanced, it's going to be amazing with all this stuff, magic that can happen into our life. And then if you're not, then you're going to be on the opposite side. This is like a two world splitting, really.
It is very much, but it's all by choice. Because people who are being stuck right now are choosing to stay stuck. And that's the hard part here, because you can see people, and this is another thing that's going on right now. People are very, very, very much being drawn into themselves, even people who are highly advanced, because it is that time. There are times when you can help somebody else with their karma, with their own lessons. You can help them. This is not that time. There is higher energy that's in charge right now. And I talked to 3 people today that were like, well, I want to help somebody. I'm going, it's not your job right now. You help yourself. There was a woman, 80 years old, who's going like, oh, but I can't help anybody right now. I'm going, yes, that's the point. Have you ever thought of helping yourself? She goes, oh, no. I'm going, okay, now focus on that. You give to everybody else. Now give to yourself.
I think what it is, many of us were conditioned to like having to do so much for everybody else. And our focus is 100% or more into everybody else, but ourselves. And this is when we actually get so disconnected. But I think if we turn around and found ourselves first and really put a lot of attention to ourselves, everything we do as what we love to do as a work will be helping other people indirectly or directly.
Yeah. Well, this is a growth. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think this is amazing that we have this, mentioned in this video, Laurie, because I have a couple conversations today too with a couple people that, one lady said, oh my God, I mean, all my life is just about taking care of the family, kids, husband and everything. And I'm just drained. I need to take care of my health. I need to get my career going. I said, like what you just said, it's being pushed to look at the self right now. I know another person I used to know quite well. He did everything for the family, for the kids, for everything but himself. And now everything just kind of broken down, And I said, you need to focus on your life that you need to live. And the children need to understand that dad cannot do everything, You don't have
very
to
much so.
Superman. What you just mentioned earlier about male dominant thinking, what you have to do everything. You have to be a provider. It doesn't matter how old they are. You still have to like do it perfectly. That's not perfect because you don't allow them to grow, but then you forget about yourself too, what your own needs.
Well, you can't be balanced if you don't balance yourself. It's balanced. I'm going to be balanced so I can take care of everybody else. But that means you've got to be balanced on how you take care of yourself too. And so that's it. It's kind of like, well, people are losing friends, or friends are just dropping off. Sometimes that it doesn't make, logical sense where somebody just doesn't call back anymore. Is there weird audio? Did you just get a weird audio?
Not earlier, but just a second ago, I get that, but that's nothing really.
Okay. I'm gonna keep talking.
Well, it's weird. Laurie, you mentioned of losing people. Even like there's a lot of deaths happening right now.
There are.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
I
have one client who lost 20 people in the last 2 years within her own family.
Wow. It's like, I just heard of the news of the death of the person I knew. He used to work out a lot. I was like, what? He used to treat me. And then, someone I know just went to like 6 funerals this past few months. Younger. I was like, why are so many death right now. All ages, people are dropping off this earth.
They are leaving the earth. And in many cases, it's because they're, I can't say being forced out, but it's kind of like their time is done. They did what they needed to do, or they are stuck and they can't do any further and they just want off. You know, so there's a lot of that going around, and I'm sorry to say not enough, because we have too many people on the planet. And I'm now obsessed. I get reports, not on purpose, but I keep seeing people who have like 5 kids and they think that's normal.
Wow.
Or I read about, I don't know, Nick Cannon is he's got 3 new babies this year with 3 different women, and he's got 9 kids altogether. And I'm going, do you understand we've already got overpopulation, Junior? Stop it. Take responsibility for yourself, and you can pay for all these kids. That's not the problem, is that these kids are now going to grow up and they're not going to have the resources because we don't have anything else, because we have too many people.
Wow.
So anyway, that's, you know, I go back to the science. There's a science fiction movie. It's kind of like something was going on. You're only allowed to have 2 kids. And if you have a 3rd kid, you're going to be punished and the kid's going to be killed, whatever. I watched that stuff. But anyway.
So going forward into next year, you mentioned about things shift. Okay, and you mentioned it start in March. The energy start in March. Pluto in Aquarius. Can you kind of tap in a little bit? And I know I brought up about Jupiter too. Can you say something about that too, if you have any information on that?
Well, Jupiter is in Aquarius now, and that's a big deal. And that's also something that is helping us let go of the Piscean age, because it's like, that's about expansion. And when the expansion of humanity, the expansion of communication, of it's a village, not it's all about me, it's about us. When that kind of awareness comes in, and equality more than anything else, when the expansion of that is there, okay, granted, we get the little minds that are scared to death of that and they fight back harder, but that expansion is there, and that expansion is going to last until April of next year. I think it's April 12th. So that's kind of like earlier this year through the middle of April next year. And that's Jupiter in expansiveness of humanity and communication and equality. And that changes how we think about things. But the thing is that Pluto, as far as we know at this moment, is our furthest out planet. So it's a really slow cycle. It's a 248-year journey around the sun.
Right.
We got 300 and whatever, how many days. So this is a longer time. When Pluto moves into a sign, it's there for years. Even within the outer planets, even with Jupiter and Saturn, when they go retrograde or they go into a planet, it isn't years. Sometimes it is, but basically it's a much shorter journey. When Pluto moves into something, it's years. So Pluto in Capricorn, which is what we're in now, that changes. This has been like 15 years when the time that it's done. And it started when we had the stock market crash in 2008. Okay, so it's like changing the structure of everything, because that's what it does. It changes the mindset of things. So we've had Pluto in Capricorn, which basically has been one of the reasons that the corporations grew to such power, because they were the one thing that didn't change. I mean, they changed to get more obnoxious, they changed to get more successful, but they didn't change in that they were always the one who had the power. The 1% who had the money, the 1% who had the power over everybody else in their corporations, and what people that were working for them that had to do, blah, blah, blah. And then people seeing the success of that, because it was all about money and about gimme, 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 I want more, that got to be pervasive in the medical community. It got to be pervasive in the insurance community for the medical community, and in the school system. And everything that is based on this corporate structure being the number one thing is going to start to fall apart, because then the mentality goes into the Aquarian age, which is all about humanity and equality and communication and the expansiveness, and all about us instead of all about me. So when people have been thinking, I want all the money that I can get for me, for my survival, for my family, or even for me, fuck the family, that's a very Pluto and Capricorn thought process. We're already getting out of that, because people are like, oh, I'm so tired of this. Can we move into Aquarius yet? Because we all want to be in Aquarius. Well, okay, not the crazy people, but we all who are sick, we're doing the work that we're doing, are moving into Aquarius. So when Pluto moves into Aquarius, it is not usually a 20-year journey, but what's going to happen, it moves into Aquarius, and then it kind of backtracks into Capricorn for a little bit, and then it moves forward, and then it backtracks again. And so it's a little bit of an elongated process. The whole process is going to take 20 years. But what that's doing is also, here's new ideas, thinking about it. Okay, we're going to go back to the old so you can get used to getting your breath. Now we're going to give you some new information. Now we're going to go back so you feel comfortable, and then move forward again. And now we're going to move forward and you have no choice. So it's like little step, not so little and not so easy. because it's kind of like move, change, bam, I'm going to hit you in the head until you do. Okay, we're going to give you a timeout, but then we're going to move forward with more energy and more insistence. A little timeouts, you can get used to that. It's kind of like just getting used to things gradually. And then this is the corporate structure falling apart.
Mm.
And it's going to fall apart over the next 20 years. I don't know how long it's going to take. Something.
Well, you know what, Laurie, today someone texted me this thing, a clip of the paper, or it's just, I don't know where he got it from. BlackRock, you heard of BlackRock Corporation, right? They're huge corporation in the stocks industry.
Okay.
Yeah, and they filed bankruptcy. I mean, Chapter 11 in beginning of this year. I was like, holy crap, they're like huge corporation in the financial industry, insurance and everything, property. Yeah.
Well, the way that they do things is now outmoded. The way that they will sacrifice everything else. This is, again, when we're talking about where Pluto is for the United States. We're at our, Pluto return, which is, again, 248-year journey. And I've talked about this before. But what we thought was okay is like, we're going to go to the Middle East and we're going to invade a country and then put our puppet government in so we can control their oil. We're going to destroy the country and we're going to put in somebody who's crazy, who doesn't mind torturing people and killing people. We don't care about that as long as we get our oil. It's like where this Pluto has come around for us is like, no, you can't get away with that anymore. If you present yourself as a world leader and somebody to emulate, not just because how much money we can get, but somebody who is moral, you've got to act moral. So this is what we're facing. And when we get Pluto into Aquarius, when we're doing this Pluto return.
So this is 20 years from now that the corporation is going to start collapsing. Is that what it is?
It's going to start collapsing next year over a 20-year period.
Wow.
So March 23rd is the date next year when Pluto moves into Aquarius. When Pluto moves into Aquarius, the Aquarian mindset takes over on everything. I mean, it's already taken over Jupiter and Aquarius, all that kind of stuff. The Aquarian energy is already here. The age has already started. But this is the most significant Aquarian event because it takes so long and it's going to shift a structure that we did not know was growing. The corporations just kind of took over. And then all of a sudden we got this 1% that we talk about. 20 years ago, we weren't talking about the 1%.
Yeah.
But now we are, because it's really significant that we have people who have all the money and they don't care about anybody else.
Right.
Okay. Typical thing. I love Amazon. I shouldn't, but I love Amazon because I can get anything I want like overnight. But the point of it is that they do treat their people poorly. But the guy on top can do whatever he fucking wants because he's got the money and he doesn't care.
Yeah.
So that changes. Corporate structures that are like that, anything that's based on a corporate structure is going to be rebuilt.
Wow. So I wonder what's going to happen with Amazon like that. Let's say something to happen because it's a big corporation.
It's a big corporation, but the way that this would fall apart, just by an example, and I don't know high business, that just hurts my mind to think about it, but it would be as if there is a problem, there are legal problems, and the corporation continues, but now being publicly owned, that kind of thing, so that it can be for the good of all as opposed to for the good of one.
Right. Wow.
And it won't fall apart, it won't go away because it's too successful and because people still want it and need it.
Yeah.
But it can be restructured so that it is not about one person being able to decide that, workers have to work 400 times harder than they do with any other job. Okay, then it becomes, all right, let's get humane. Humane is the thing here. Corporations are not humane, just by default. So that means the insurance is not humane, that the medical system is not humane, that education is not humane. So we're going to get back into it being humane, but it's not going to be like all the corporations are going to fall at the same time. Things will be restructured in all these different ways. And this is the thing when you talk about education, that education is getting restructured. It's already started because there are so many people who don't want to send their kids into school, not just because of the shootings, but because the education system is based on teaching Aquarian age kids Piscean age mentality. They don't learn like that. You're supposed to memorize what's going on in the book, take a test, know that you learned this, and then you don't remember it because you're never going to use it again. That's not the way to learn. And these kids are not learning like that. They don't learn left hemisphere logic, lines and squares memorized. They learn by experiencing. There is a classroom that will take you, and I don't know the name of it, but will take you as if you're going to learn astronomy. They'll take you out on a boat, like a sailing boat. You learn the ocean, you learn ocean biology.
That's the best.
You learn by doing. You learn by being on the boat, so you learn how to sail. And then at night, you learn astronomy. All of that stuff is you learn it, you put it into practice in that moment.
Oh, that would be amazing.
But that's the way kids these days learn.
Yeah.
They don't learn by sitting in a book and having a teacher who's really fucking tired of teaching because they get no support from anybody in the world. Going through, all right, let's go through page 22. It's like Ferris Bueller, 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 Bueller. That's what we're doing right now. And we do have inspired teachers, but a lot of teachers are really burnt out because they don't have support from anybody who should be giving them support.
Right.
That's the government. The government at now is also based on the corporate system of I want more for me, fuck everybody else.
Right. Right.
That's the problem. That's what we're fighting. It's not about autocracy and about democracy. It's all about me and what I can get, or it's all about us. Us is going to win. 100% us is going to win because that's the Aquarian age. That's already started. That's not going anywhere for 2,000 years. We can't fight that. We can pretend to fight it and we're just going to get smacked down.
Yeah.
But us wins.
So now, Laurie, what you just said, for those who are struggling right now, is this like a sign for them to really like, hey, this is what you're going through and you need to really change focusing on yourself. But some people are very clueless. Some people are very clueless because they got so many problems from every area in their life, you know?
But they're not looking at why.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like, oh, why is this happening to me? That's not what I'm talking about. They're not looking at the bigger picture. I had somebody I talked with today and she lost her job. They, downsized the company and got her out. She's fine. They gave her a package for money. So she's financially fine. She's going to get unemployment. She's looking for a job. She'll get a job in a while, blah, blah. That's what we talked about. But she's like, well, I don't have anything to do right now. I'm driving myself crazy. And I'm going, are you taking care of yourself? Well, I don't know. I don't have anything to do right now. I'm saying, are you taking care of yourself or do you know how to be in your own moment when somebody isn't giving you something to do, when an outside source isn't giving you focus? That's what you need to do right now. If you were working crazy, 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 and you had a 2-week vacation that said, we're going to send you to Hawaii and your job is lay on the beach, drink Mai Tais and watch the dolphins for 2 weeks, you'd give yourself permission to do that. That's what's happening to her.
Wow, it's funny.
Go ahead.
But Laurie, this is a great example. You just brought it up because most people are just so caught up in doing things. Do, work.
Yeah.
So when universe got them to lose the job because this is what they need to focus on themselves, they don't know how.
Yeah, they don't know how.
It's an unfortunate thing. It has to come down to that point.
But that's what's going on, is that this is being forced on people. And instead of, if you look at it as I'm unemployed and I don't know what to do, it's kind of like you're going to put yourself in your own trauma. If you look at it as, I've got an opportunity to kind of like settle down and enjoy the peace because I know I'm going to go back to work. I'm looking for work. I'm doing that. But if you just learn how to be in this moment, because that's what everything for the past 3 years has been teaching us, be in the moment, the power of now.
Yeah, well, that would make sense why it's a lockdown is to force everyone globally to slow down and to really do a lot of reflection.
Yeah. And in the first couple of weeks when we were locked down, the peace was incredible. The planet was happy. She wasn't being polluted. People weren't driving all over on her surface. They were having a hard time. But the point was that I did go out, obviously, to the grocery store every once in a while, like all masked up and everything. But I did go out. But when I went out, it was just so peaceful. The energy was so peaceful until you got to the grocery store and everybody was stressed that they weren't going to get in and there weren't going to be toilet paper. Another story. But the energy overall was very peaceful because we weren't running so fast.
That's so true. Everything just slowed down.
Yeah.
Traffic. I mean, Laurie, you're not here anymore in Los Angeles. Traffic has always been bad. It doesn't matter where you're at. Oh my God, Laurie. I mean, from my home, West Covina to downtown, it's probably like 10 minutes. It used to be like an hour.
Yeah.
And which is like peaceful and everything just slowed down.
Yeah.
Energetically, that's actually a blessing though, that many of us may not recognize it, and it forced everybody to clean their home. So I think it's more symbolic.
Yeah. And get closer to their family, which that worked in a good way or a bad way. It brought clarity. Yeah.
That's
so
right.
One last thing I want to say about where the energy is right now. We got 2 things that we need to pay attention to coming in. One of them obviously is going to be the election. Okay. So we've got change, push, get it. and then Mars retrograde right before the election.
Wow.
Okay. And the election is going to be, it's on the 8th, right? As far as we know, I think it's on the 8th.
Yeah.
That's
I think
also,
so.
yeah, that's also the full moon that finishes our eclipse season. So
Wow.
it's going to be crazy.
Lots
All
of
right?
energy there.
Lots of energy there. But
Yeah.
how things are going to fall into place is not the way people think. The standard thing is, okay, we've got all the Republicans and all the Democrats, and it's standard that if when the Democrats are taking over, that this is going to be a Republican House. Not necessarily. I just don't think it's going to go the way anybody thinks. But what is going to happen is the chaos of that day. Just say the Republicans do not do that well. They are not going to accept it in any state whatsoever. And so they're going to argue it. And they're going to say, we got to investigate this. We got to look at all the votes again and again and again until we get what we want. And none of it is going to work, but they're going to delay it, and they're going to cause chaos, and they're going to cause people not knowing if they're in position, if they're a senator or not, until maybe even into January. So that means what we want with the holidays on Thanksgiving, in Christmas, in Kwanzaa, in Hanukkah, that we're not going to have this release because the country's still going to be like this. So the point of it is, know that the chaos of the election is the chaos of our Pluto return, so that we are forced to make a choice on how we're going to move forward. And it's not the only time we're going to be doing this, because obviously we're going to do it in 2024. But this is the beginning of that. And I feel it's going to be far more positive than people are thinking, but it's going to be chaotic and crazy. And that chaos is going to last throughout the year. Because even if everything is decided, you're going to get a lot of people who are just so pissed. And they're going to like carry that through for quite a long time. So these holidays, it's really, 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 really good to keep them quiet. Not only because financially we don't need to be spending money on things, you know, I need to get away. It's like getting away isn't going to really make you feel any better, because the chaos is there. You can't go to another country where there isn't chaos. So it's kind of like keep it quiet and keep it small, because people are going to have opinions, strong fear of losing their own identity opinions. And you don't need to be with Uncle Harry on Thanksgiving Day if you know that he is going to talk about Trump and you just hate Trump. It's kind of like he can't shut up. And with him not shutting up, it means that you're either going to have to just really just bite your lip and take it, or you're going to argue back, and it destroys everything. So I'm just saying, this is not the year. We haven't had very many years where it's good to go out and celebrate, and people really want to because they want to feel better. I'm just saying this year, very specifically, the chaos is going to be high through the end of the year, through the end of January.
Okay.
After Mars goes direct, but we don't get the new beginning of what's going on until March 23rd. And then it really is like, you know, get on the rocket, hold on, because it's moving fast.
Wow, I can't wait until March, really.
I know,
we're gonna talk about that then. About
yes,
March.
oh, we're gonna talk a lot about that, I'm sure.
That's right, because people want to know about that. Wonderful, Laurie. Oh my God, that's amazing talk again, guys. Do you enjoy that? Post comments, you know, and remember, grab her books, Into Aquarian Age. All right. So on Amazon.com, I always have link down there. Just post it. And also, Laurie, you have YouTube channel too, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. If you can send me a link, you know,
okay.
And you'll follow Laurie on her YouTube, you know, just follow her. She got the link, and, you know, support her, and, you know, enjoy. And also, you know, check out with her if you want to take some tarot classes with her, because I think she's really, really good. All right. She just started her, I think, her new class, you know, a group, and it's doing well. You know, she's been teaching for a long time, but she's not techno savvy like me. So she just started learning how to use Zoom. You know, I finally got her on Zoom to do this YouTube. So she's like rapidly get it, you know, and she got like what, 20 plus students in the first. I mean, she's known, so she's awesome, you know, and you're going to learn a lot from her, which I had, you know, and I'm grateful for that, to have her as teacher as well. So guys, until the next talk, Laurie, thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to click like, share, and, you know, subscribe. Share the video, go to her YouTube and subscribe. Laurie, make sure I get your link, and I'll put it there underneath the description. Until next video, next couple of weeks, guys, thank you so much. And remember what she mentioned. Just look at yourself, reflection, take care of yourself, you know, and get ready for next year, because you're going to take off the rocket.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be awesome, right? If you stay in a very positive mode.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Laurie. Thank you. Thank you. You have a wonderful, wonderful day, wonderful week. And guys, we'll talk to you later. Thank you for being here.